Hello, welcome to Category 5 TV Coffee Break. This is BP9, and today I'm joined by Peter, and it looks like it's just the two of us today. So we'll see who else shows up. Peter, I see you've got some stuff to show us. Go ahead, let's see what you got.
That is the
That looks like sockets and grommets and fun stuff like that. You know, sealant and stuff. Yep.
that's the pin. Maybe you can see the pin plug.
Mm-hmm.
That's a multi-pin plug. It's to carry the supply and the five switching connections to it as well.
Okay. Okay.
You saw the shove the box, better shove the box.
Yeah, show us the box.
It's quite heavy, you know.
Wow. And where are you gonna mount that thing, Peter? And what's it for?
It's on the tower, and one on the two is there's a
Sit down, Peter, so we can see you. There you go.
Sorry about that. Where the winch is, there's a plate, and underneath there's another plate round on 90 degrees from that.
Okay.
Mount it on there with some bolts.
Are you gonna stand it up high then, or do you have to climb to get to it, or?
No, it's not very high. It's probably about body height, probably about waist height. But it'll be turned upside down to see where the hole is. The hole is where all the SO239 sockets are going.
Right.
And that's going to be facing down with the power socket.
Okay.
So the water back into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously got a lock on it. We've been making PCBs as well. I mean, like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Using the good old laser printer method.
No, my friend Jim is do it for me because the chemicals are a bit nasty, and I think this is how I got the cancer the first time. So
here he is. There's Solbu. Hello, Solbu. So Peter, carry on. Now, yeah, you didn't tell us what that was for. That's for your antenna switching.
That's just basically it's an opal coupler. There's 6 of them, and a Darlington power transistor to switch the relay on. The relay resistance is about 80 ohms. It takes 0.15 of an amp at 12 volts. You can't switch directly switch the relay from the optic coupler. You have to do it via another device as well.
So the control panel's in your shack, and then this thing is what does all the heavy lifting of switching the antennas, right?
Yeah, that's right. It'll be it'll have photopplers on it as well to protect. They probably might use a Raspberry Pi, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have. So why did you mount the thing outside? Is that so you could only have one coax running from your shack to the tower, and then let it switch out to whatever antennas you've got on the tower?
Great. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I got about 8.
Because you could have run all those coaxes right into your shack, right?
But I had problems with the wife because she can't see, obviously, and trips over them when she does the washing. So I normally keep them behind the greenhouse, but even so, to make things a bit neater, so when I run one coax behind the greenhouse, I just run it into the shack that way,
Yep.
The shack's down here at the moment, as you probably know. I've got a radio.
Yeah. Oh, nice. What is that, a Yaesu or a Kenwood or what?
102.
Yaesu 102?
Yeah, it's quite old, but it's got a good receiver on it.
There's nothing wrong with old radios. Nothing wrong with those.
I think it's got a good crossbot effect. It doesn't get crossbot so easily.
Right.
It's got balance. We've got balanced mixers and bands fed in the front, so it's pretty
sure.
bulletproof.
Not sure.
only for local runs for 400 watts and more, which they haven't got by their license, but we won't talk about that one.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah. Yep. So here's what I've been.
The good thing about old equipment, really old equipment, is that they are not susceptible to damage from solar storms that can damage chips, because a lot of old equipment doesn't have a single chip in them.
Yes, that's true. They're all valve operated, or
that's got a transistor input, a transistor radio bar, and a valve a PA on it.
Most radios these days have the final transistors. You know, those finals tend to be high power transistors, right? You agree, Peter, or no?
Yeah, that's right. Now, but that's what I'm talking about.
But now I don't know whether they're susceptible to EMP or anything like that. So
they're very susceptible to everything. Those things are. You breathe
right.
on them, they break.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
good.
It's always true. All right. So Doug's not here, but I was going to show him the keyboard that I was talking about last week. But I'll show you guys, and maybe Doug will catch up on it later. There it is. Okay, now on to the next thing.
Like a wallet.
What's that?
It looks like a wallet.
Well, yeah, I know. It looks like a wallet, but it's not. Here, if I do that and then that, what we get is this. Let me go down to where it is. And it's called Think Outside. That's the brand, right? And I think the full brand name is Think Outside the Box.
Yeah.
But what happens here is I need to do it so you can see it. You do that, and then you do this. Whoops. And then the keyboard opens up.
Nice.
Completely opens up to an almost full-size keyboard.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Now it uses blue function keys and green function keys to get you extra functions all over the place here. So I promised him that I would try this on the Raspberry Pi, and I failed. So I suck. I am not very reliable apparently this week, but I am going to try this sometime very, very soon. I don't know whether the Raspberry Pis or which models of Raspberry Pi have a Bluetooth adapter built in or not. Because if you search on the internet, and by the way, to close it up, you just do this. Click, and then it powers off. It runs off some AAA cells. There are 2 AAA cells in there. So there are 2 AAA cells in there, so that we can do what we need to do. So
reminds me of a calculator that we had at my old job. It had a cover on it, and it had the cover had a button. It was I think it either spring or it was some mechanical resistance that when you push the button, the cover it opens slightly, and then it turned the calculator upside down, ready for the calculator to be used.
Interesting. Yeah. Way back when, and I still have this calculator. I don't know if it's still any good or not, but way back when, I bought a Radio Shack calculator that ran off a solar cell, and the radio. What it would do is it would open up. The cover was integrated. It was a plastic cover or vinyl cover. It was integrated, and you could use any of the function keys on the cover as well in order to drive the calculator. Yeah, I still like it. I mean, if I could use it, I would continue to use it.
This one right here,
It's actually very similar to that, except that it had a vinyl cover on the back that was integrated that opened up, and you had more function keys on the.
And he has a solar panel here, which charges the battery on this thing. I have had this for 15 years, and the battery still works. So
Yeah, and I think mine has been closed for so long that I think the battery's no good in it anymore, because it only works now when enough light falls on the solar cell to actually drive the thing, to actually run it.
What you can do what I did, I got a computer.
Lift that microphone up a little bit, Peter.
yeah, you're
Bring the microphone to your mouth. There you go.
I used a computer battery and connected. I haven't got it here, but it's somewhere around. Connected to the to the calculator, and it lasts. I never charged it up yet. It lasted forever on one charge. Yeah,
It looks. Mine looks similar to this, but it's not the same thing. This is an old Palm Pilot, but it looks similar to that.
Can you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. I heard you.
I'm saying when those 3-volt ones, the one they get in what they call those computers, and on laptops, the other things, laptops or something. Yeah, and they work quite well on a battery fine with a connection.
Well, I was trying to avoid carrying battery packs around, but I'm pretty much.
Mine's taped on. Mine's a flat battery, one of these yellow flat batteries, which is about the size of a pack of cigarettes, and it's taped onto the back, and I never charged it up yet.
I'm thinking about doing the same thing. I bought a battery pack off Amazon. And it just, let's see if I can focus in. I can't, because it won't. Oh, there we go. There you go. You can see the inputs and the outputs now. The outputs, I think, are the large USB connectors over here. And I think the inputs are to charge it up. And I would plug this up to a Raspberry Pi or to an Arduino or to the phone to charge it up. Or if I'm going mobile with the Raspberry Pi, I would just use that as the power supply. I was going to use that.
This is my power bank. It's a very big one, you see.
That's tiny. That won't last you very long.
Yeah, but it's only for emergencies, and it came into my old job, and some of the staff were working with me asked me if I wanted it, so here it is.
Of course, yeah, why not? Yeah, absolutely. So, Solbu, sorry, Peter, what were you saying?
I said those calculators, ones I'm thinking about, only run hundreds of microamps, and they last for a very long time.
Oh yeah. The thing I really liked about this particular calculator is that it would easily convert degrees, minutes, and seconds to decimal degrees. I love that. If I had a calculator that would do that, I would hold on to it, and I've held on to this one for that reason, because it's so easy to convert from one to the other. I'm weird. What can I tell you?
I'm like that. Once you have something that really works and it does the job, there's no point in throwing it away.
I was doing a lot of work with plotting segments of roads on the screen for a mapping application, but most mapping applications use panels or tiles of graphical images, right? The closer you zoom in, the images that it displays are more detailed, and the further you zoom out, the less detailed those images are, but the images are about the same size. They take up about the same size on the screen. Well, the application I wrote many years ago uses vectors, because here in the States, you can get what's called tiger line data. Now, I have an old set of data. It's not current at all, because I don't think you can get them as downloads or on CD anymore. And you can only get them by registering with their service. So I've stuck with an old, I think it's 1997 version of that data. The problem is that when you zoom out really far, like to cover the entire United States, it has to retrieve the entire data set of hundreds of millions of records, because each segment of road, whenever the road changes direction, each segment of, that's 2 segments, right? And so if there's a curve, there are like 10 segments to describe that curve. And so it has to retrieve every single one of them, even if it wants to display them, the whole thing at full resolution. What I've got to figure out a way to do is to come up with a set of low resolution points that can be called at the full, United States, so that all I draw is just like the interstates or something, and just intermediate points from one major point to the other. That'll make the retrieval data set a whole lot smaller, and it'll display much quicker as a result. So anyway, lots of fun. Yeah, I do all kinds of weird stuff. What can I tell you? Oh yes, Solbu. What I was going to mention to you, I did manage to get the client and the server to talk to each other. Nice. I don't have the encryption piece done yet, because I decided what I needed to do was to implement and debug the whole syncing algorithm. Where the client syncs up with the server. So I'm still working on that, and I'm just leaving it unencrypted for now. But I do plan to encrypt. But one of the things that I did when we talked last week, I absolutely agree with you that the encrypted package should be signed. I have no problem with that, and I ultimately want to do that. But as an interim, since I haven't figured out how to get around that, sometimes the signing works and sometimes the signing doesn't. What I've done is I'm making the client solve a challenge that the server sends based off of random numbers that the server generates in real time.
Yeah, that's a three-way handshake.
Yes, yeah. So the idea is the client says, "I am user 123," and the client and the server says, "Okay, user 123, prove it." And the server comes up with a challenge that the client has to solve based off of random numbers. So the server sends that challenge back to the client. The client solves that challenge and then sends its request all in the same request. And then the server looks to see if the challenge was correctly solved. And if it was correctly solved, then it says, "Yep, you're good. I'll accept your identity." The thing is that once I've implemented the encryption, that means multiple paths, multiple back and forth, where the server had to decrypt the packet with the client's public key, because the client encrypted with his private key, and where the client had to decrypt with the server's public key because the server encrypted with the server's private key. Does that make sense?
You got that backwards.
Okay, but the point is that they had to use each other's key to get the roundabout, the back and forth to happen multiple times.
Yeah, because the one having the private key is the only entity who can decrypt anything used with that private key. So what I think you are doing is your client is using the server's public key to crypt something that only the server.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yes. But otherwise, I'm sorry if I got it wrong. I'm sorry if I got it the wrong way. But the point of that conversation was to say that there were multiple round trips, and both sets of keys had to be used in order for that round trip to be successful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's depends on what kind of authentication you use, but yes.
Yeah.
Because having your public key on the server, it makes the server, and then the server knows that whatever is signed by this key is coming from the owner of that key, and yeah.
Oh yeah. I agree that it should be signed, but I haven't got the signing part working yet. Yeah. And when I resolve that issue, then I'll be able to properly say, yeah, this is right.
Yeah, and then you can look over to the time when you think it's ready for someone else to test, and you put it on GitHub or something, and then you get 300 tickets telling you how stupid that was.
Yeah, I know. But the big key for me is to make sure that the data is encrypted for me.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I have to do.
And some of those 300 will have suggestions of how you can improve that, and maybe someone will have a patch that maybe solves whatever problem is in there. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of open source, right? Throw it out there and let people mess with it. I because this particular application deals with really sensitive data, I don't think I want to put it on GitHub, but I'm going to use at least I'm going to build at least 2 other applications that do not require, that do not transmit sensitive information. So I will likely put those up on GitHub.
Yeah, but this is exactly how the free software world started. Someone has a problem, and they try to solve that problem, and then they put the code out somewhere. Linus Torvalds, who made the kernel that most people are using, he had a problem. He needed a Unix system at home, so he made the kernel himself, and then. I always wanted to. I hope that he will have the opportunity to come to Norway one day. And I have one question that I always wanted to ask him, because in the very first email he sent in the Usenet posting, that he sent out, he said that this is just a hobby. It won't be big and professional.
Nobody will use this, right?
But he explicitly said that it would be big and professional, like the GNU. So I always wanted to ask him, when will it be big and professional like GNU?
Well, now didn't GNU come about after Linus
no, GNU
released
came about
Linux?
in 84.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because when he made the kernel, all the other tools that he needed to have a working system was already made. They only lacked a kernel.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And they had started on a kernel which is called the herd, the GNU herd, and it's still not ready for use.
Yeah. Well, why not use one that's already available, right? I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah. So remember that, right? That display thing that shows you.
That looks like a display, right?
For DVM, do you remember measuring that?
You've got to put that microphone near your mouth, Peter, because you've let it slip down. There you go.
Yeah, I know.
I think you've got that headset on backwards. I think that's your problem.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Isn't that easier?
Yeah, remember the DVM thing I had for measuring DVM of a signal strength?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
What I did, the Mark II version, I got a low pass filter on it. The reason is that because my Wi-Fi is so strong, it breaks through on the if I connect it to it. So I put a 30 meg bandpass filter on it to remove the Wi-Fi. Low pass filter on the Wi-Fi, and I plug it into the radio on the IF, and I come on to people's signal strengths.
Very good.
A DVM for the noise floor target with a value of 20 dBs above the noise floor of my receiver. And they make whatever they want to make of that. I don't like it. And did you also know there was a Aurora the other day as well here?
I heard about that. Did you see it?
No, but we got the RF effects of it. It was quite strong up here.
I thought it'd be pretty nice to see. Apparently, you were able to see it as far south as London, from what I heard.
Yeah, but we had a lot of that. That's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, that would explain it.
I'm in a good location where I am, but I do see it every so often. But,
I was checking the weather yesterday, and London and all of England and Ireland was all covered up with rain. That's crazy. That's nuts.
and it was opening on 10 meters, and we had 2 propagations at the same time, which was weird. We had spreader key on assisted Aurora. So if I point the arrow north, I was working stations via Aurora. If I put it more east, I was working Germans via Spreader Key.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was a bit weird, but anyway.
All right, we have to close it down. So I do not.
Peter mentioned, and you mentioned it was raining. I had my car on to be fixed on 2 days ago, and on the way back it is 8 degrees below zero Celsius, and it was raining.
Oh no!
In 8 degrees below freezing, and it was raining. So
for some reason, I am not surprised about that, because I've heard that it is possible for it to be too cold to snow.
No, it's not too cold. The thing is that in the upper atmosphere, in the cloud layer, it can still be hot, so it doesn't have time to change from water into snowflakes on the way down.
The raindrops have to be kicked back up into the atmosphere to stay up there long enough to freeze and come back down again.
Yeah, but so in 20 kilometers, I had to stop twice in order to remove ice from my windshield.
But would it not freeze then? Would it not freeze then when it hit the windshield? Oh, it did, because you removed the ice. Yeah, that makes sense.
I never
had that. My kitty cat says hello too, by the way.
That's a dry point or something like that, a name like that for between the states of water. John did physics every year. All
right, boys and girls, it's time to shut this down. I do not know what the situation is in Canada, whether Robbie's going to have a show on Wednesday. So we'll find out on Discord, I'm sure. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Next week, I am in the middle of fixing my backdrop, because
I see that.
Yeah, up until today, I had to set up 2 ladders in order to hold this thing. But today, I had mounted the pole on the roof, but on the ceiling, but I had to extend it somehow, I say. So I'm in the middle of doing that, and the coffee break is now.
There we go.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Peter was dealing with a phone call. I had to mute him off real quick. So
yeah, and you muted yourself in the process.
Yeah, because the list keeps changing, and I went click, and it clicked on the wrong one. So all right, we're out of here. Have a great evening, everybody, or great afternoon, and thank you very much for hanging out with me for half an hour or so. And I will catch up with you later. Bye.